So Spain will play Sweden. And for the last two, I got England and the other game is France.
Who's right? England playing in the quarters?
England's playing
Colombia.
I don't see England making it in that, and the only reason I'll tell because James is out.
All right. What's going on? My name is Naiman Ruta. If you're familiar with me, I've been in the past few shows, and this is Mutegeki on the mic. I've been working on that.
What?
Mutegeki, my middle name.
Okay.
Mutegeki. So what does Mutegeki? Does it have a meaning?
My grandfather. It's from my dad's dad. My grandfather. He gave a middle name to me when I was.
Okay, Mutegeki. I like that. Yeah.
Now we're gonna work on that.
In Kenya we have Mutegi and Mutego.
Yeah.
Yes.
In Kenya.
Mutegeki.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's a nice name.
That's unique.
It's a nice name.
Yeah.
All right. What do you have for us, my friends?
An emotional roller coaster this week in the Women's World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We were talking about the African teams last week. The African teams, including Jamaica. Jamaica.
Yes.
And
we have one more left, but carry on.
But the first African team that went out, Netherlands defeated South Africa 2-0.
Oh.
And it wasn't good. The next game, England. This was probably the tightest game so far I've seen with African teams.
Yes.
Nigeria, it was 0-0 the whole game, and it went to penalties, and they lost 4-2.
Very sad.
So it was very, very sad. Yeah.
Penalty taking.
And then Colombia, they just got past Jamaica 1-0.
Oh.
And France.
So it was Africa on Africa. So
I think that Colombia, that Colombia game is. I'm like, I think that was like a fluke. But what do I know? Go ahead.
Colombia was not a fluke.
Lastly, France.
Colombia, one of the dark
horses.
Colombia, one of the dark horses in this World Cup.
Okay.
Yeah, the one. I remember you were talking about all these underdogs, like the underdogs taking over the World Cup. We haven't seen that. Only one team. So yeah, it's really
but let's look at it. Let's look at it this way. Let's look at the teams that have been knocked out from the World Cup. And when we compare the underdogs and the overdogs on this World Cup, right?
Okay.
The teams that are going on right now, we've seen the Netherlands being knocked out by Spain. The Netherlands were one of the major heavy teams. The USA
Spain's
was
a very good
out,
team too,
right? Yeah. The USA were knocked out again. The USA were knocked out by
Sweden.
Sweden, which is a good team, but then the USA was one of the favorites to advance from this tournament. Germany were knocked out, who again, one of the most favored teams that are supposed to be able to. They were one of the expected teams that were supposed to move on. Brazil were knocked out, and Jamaica moved on. So that's an underdog that actually moved on from that group to go on. So if
we're talking about progressing, right? We're talking about progressing.
We're talking about progressing. Like let's look when the teams are knocked out, right? When the teams are knocked out, when Germany was knocked out, when the USA was knocked out, when Brazil was knocked out, right? When we had teams like South Africa moving on for the first time, we had Jamaica moving on for the first time. We had Nigeria moving on for the first time. So all these are underdogs that were not supposed to come out of the group stages. That actually went Morocco.
Yeah.
So all these were underdog teams that came out of the group stages and went into the knockout stages. Now, in the knockout stages, where's the business end of the tournament, is where we are seeing some of the underdogs going out. A team like Colombia, which is performing right now, is one of the dark horses, and Colombia is not also one of the major teams that actually progress. So in tomorrow's game, we have England and Colombia. That's a banana skin game for England. England is seen as one of the favorites, but this is a game that can go either way. Australia-France is another game whereby Australia is expected to progress better than the France. But then now, if we go back and look at how things are, teams like Spain and France are teams and England are teams which right now if you look at the category of women football, are coming up. They're improving because they have improved their leagues. That is why you see the USA was having it hard. Traditional giants was usually USA, Sweden, Germany, USA, Sweden, Germany, USA, Sweden, Germany, China, Brazil, Japan. Those five were the traditional giants for the women's game. Now we are seeing countries that have invested into their leagues, like France, Spain, right? Building giants like Netherlands. We've seen a team like Colombia. Also now it's in the same league. Then it easily can go to the semifinals if they beat England. So this has been a World Cup whereby when we have the next semifinals coming in, we have Spain and Sweden in the first semifinal, right? The next semifinal, we can have either England, Colombia, Australia, or France. Sweden are the only team of the traditional giants that's in the semifinal.
But France are still a giant team. Like you're talking about them.
France are a recent team that has come up
recently, but they're still considered a giant team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they're recent. That's football. That's football. But then I'm talking about traditional giants, right? Names that we are used to, with names that we expect that these are. When we go to the Men's World Cup, we expect Brazil to be there. We expect Germany to be there. We expect, right? So when we have new teams that are coming up that are good, like the French, like the Croatians, right? When we have teams like those coming up, yes, they're good right now for the moment because it's their moment to shine. It's them in the past few years building to this World Cup that they've improved. But then those that we are known, the names of the traditional names that we're used for when it comes to women's sports, to women's soccer, Sweden will be the only known name out of it. Spain is a new entrant that is coming in. England is a new entrant that is coming in into the world into world domination of football. In the female side, in the women's side, Colombia is a new name. So of the four quarterfinalists that are playing tomorrow, or as Omosho is telling me tonight, because it's still going to be dark, only Australia are one of the old names that are known. Between Australia, France, England, Colombia, out of those four, Australia is one of the old names. Then on the other two semifinalists, Sweden is the other main name again that's there. So this has been a World Cup whereby traditionalists have already been kicked out. So we might have a final whereby we can actually have teams going to the final for the first time.
Okay, let's hear name
somebody win the World Cup for the first time.
Right.
Okay, let's hear name and stake. Yeah.
Right, but still, no matter how France is coming up, England's coming up, and I agree with what you're saying, but there's still big names because this is the 2023 Women's World Cup, and they've shown that they're big names. They've shown that they're big teams. So they're showing that they're performing, they're doing what they're supposed to, they're doing what they're doing. But you can't make it seem like they're small teams. You can't make it seem like they're small teams because they're already known. It's the 2023 Women's World Cup. Okay, say France, they started, becoming a better team coming from 2019, the 2019 World Cup. But they've had a whole 4 years to develop. They had a whole 4 years to grow. But you can say that they've grown. They're not a Sweden. They're not a Sweden. They're not a Germany. Sure. Okay, so they're still
a
top team because of the experience that they've gained.
Yeah. So here, there's a difference in opinion. There's a difference in opinion.
But name and hold up, Ali. Let me rectify something. When I say a big name, I'm not saying that they're not big when they come and play. When I'm saying big name, I'm talking tradition. I'm talking about previous wins, previous performance on how they've been performing on the tournament. How long have they been performing in the tournament, the development, and how they are. That is where, again, as I said, I gave an example. The men's game, you cannot compare Brazil in terms of somebody saying Brazil is a big name to a team like Croatia or a team like which other men's team performed, Morocco, that went far. Right? They went far in the tournament, and that's the beauty of tournament football. In tournament football, it's usually not about what history or whatever. It's about current form, how you're performing that time, how you prepare yourself, and how you're playing with that.
Okay.
And now, currently, with the current form that we have right now, we are seeing teams that historically are not known as powerhouses.
So let me ask you. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Okay. So let me say something. So you see, like in sports, sometimes like in sports analysis, this is where now sometimes you have like a difference in opinion of how the way Mika is perceiving it, and also the way Neyman here is perceiving it. But moving on forward, we're talking about the last the final 8. Who are you guys like in your mind, who in your mind are you looking at to see making it to the semifinals? Maybe let's start with you, and then we're gonna go to listens to Mika's picks, and then we can come back again and make a comparison.
Okay, so Sweden is already in the semifinals. Spain's already in the semifinals. So Spain will play Sweden. And for the last two, I got England, and the other game is France.
Who's right? England playing in the quarters?
England's playing
Colombia. I don't
Yeah.
see England making it in that, and the only reason I'll tell, because James is out, she's not playing, so I don't.
No, but they have, but the thing
yeah.
is, they have a Latoon who plays that position really well.
Okay.
And when England started the tournament, James didn't play the first game. James came in from the second game when she was on form, and that is why he took the position.
Okay. And also, like what I've been saying, to become a stronger team.
But the Latoon is equally pretty good.
Yeah.
So the thing is, for me, when I see the Spain versus Sweden matchup in that team, I want to say that the Swedes are very experienced, but then the Spanish have a young, vibrant team that just plays some beautiful football.
Tiki-taka.
And it's hard to say that who I'm gonna choose as a clear winner for both of them, but I will say this: if England qualify, if England beat Colombia, and then France beats Australia, I will give England to go all the way to the finals.
Okay.
And England to go to the finals and play with Sweden. But Australia, by virtue of them playing at home, because remember, when France are a very good team,
12th man.
Australia, by virtue of them playing at home, have that 12th man advantage that is helping them out.
Okay.
And man, anyway, overall, I will let me just go by. I would say an England-Sweden final.
Wow.
And I'll say an England-Sweden final, and an out of the England-Sweden final, I don't see England winning their first tournament. I don't see them winning their first.
Or I don't see them winning.
Sweden, I don't see them. I think Sweden will be a little bit stronger than them. But I'll stick with those two based on just how I'm ranking them.
Okay.
Based on just how I'm ranking them. I'll say a final between an England Sweden, and probably see Sweden win it. But if it's any other matchup that doesn't involve Sweden and England, I will say for the other teams that are remaining, I will say most likely Spain to be the outside team from those two to win it.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Neyman, give us your picks, and then also wrap it up for us.
Yeah, so I have Sweden winning against Spain. I definitely think that's Spain.
In the final?
No, semifinal.
Sorry,
Sweden and
okay.
Spain.
Okay,
so
sorry.
I have them Sweden winning in the semifinal, going to the final, and then I have Australia versus England. I think that Australia, because they're the host, they're one of the host nations. So they definitely have that boost.
Yeah,
so it'll be a tight game, but
yeah.
Australia definitely has the boost. So Australia versus France. Australia versus England, and then in the final I have, I think Australia and Sweden. I think Australia and Sweden.
No England in the final.
Yeah,
No England.
So you're saying here that Australia over France?
Because they're the host nation.
Australia will have
That's 12th man, man. It
have
makes
the
a difference.
advantage of the fans. One mic. That is the thing that will put
That adrenaline.
And then another thing is Australia. are one of the strong teams in the women's.
They have a good team.
In the women's, it's one of the giants, right? Them and Sweden are one of the oldies, one of the old teams that have dominated women soccer. So they have more experience than this French team. So that experience and that experience of playing in these tournaments and being in this stage, and then them being at home, will push them over this inexperienced French side. The French are a young team, just like the English and the Spanish. They are a young team. They are young in terms of going far in tournament football and having systems that allow them to play together. Right? Remember, these are teams that are like 8 years old in a system that's been put together to allow them to work together, compared to these other teams that have had these systems for years and years. So these are young teams when it comes to this to the gelling and the working and the building together. Even if you see their players, they're pretty young players. The players who are playing in new leagues in Europe, which are getting stronger and better, but they're young teams. So Australia can easily beat France by that virtue of just the experience of the team. So the Sweden-Australia final is a very good final, it's a very doable final. But then, name and who do you see taking it all between the two?
Oh, and another thing I also wanted to bring up as well with the African teams, going back to that, was something ironic, and I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but the Netherlands and South Africa were a Dutch colony. Nigeria were formerly being an English colony. Morocco formerly being a French colony, and all of them losing. So it was definitely a tough pill to swallow.
Oh wow!
Think historically.
Yeah, I know. Like I'd not even thought about that. The South Africans are, like you had the Boers.
Yes.
Who are basically the
ones who call them Blake.
Yeah, Blake, not Blake, Blake.